Today's editorial, and my view, amazingly, will discuss former President Donald Trump's Rasputin-like mystical hold over a large swath of the Republican electorate. For you non-history majors, Rasputin was the treacherous and insidious cleric whose mystic influence helped lead Russian Tsar Nicholas II headlong into the Russian Revolution. Now that conundrum haunts the Republican presidential primary, like Jacob Marley's ghost. It is difficult to understand how Trump maintains a sizable lead over his closest pursuer, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, as well as the rest of a qualified field that can't even get into double digits. It is difficult to understand how Trump, who could not beat President Joe Biden in 2020, which was before the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol, before civil judgments were found against him, before felony indictments too numerous to mention from different states as well as the federal government were filed, as well as the real possibility that he could be barred from holding the office even if he somehow miraculously wins, that somehow all this subtraction have failed to dent his standing with many Republicans. In other words, addition by subtraction. This view will be an attempt at an answer and possibly a road for the Republican Party to move out of the wilderness. I will quote from an editorial in the New York Times from Frank Luntz, a focus group moderator, pollster, and professor, and communication strategist who has worked for Republican candidates. Mr. Luntz has spent more than 3 decades analyzing politics and grappling with political questions in classrooms as well as elections. In the editorial, Mr. Luntz discusses the more than 24 focus groups he's hosted with Trump voters across the country. The common theme from all of this information that was gleaned was that many Trump voters felt ignored and forgotten by the professional political class until Trump came along, and are now being victimized and ridiculed for their continued support. Luntz believes that the current crop of Republican candidates have to accept that pummeling Trump and attempting to decimate his base will not work. It was clear that if Trumpers think that any of the current candidates' mission is to defeat their hero, they will fail. However, Luntz sees a way to victory for a candidate other than Trump, but only if that candidate convinces them that he or she wants to listen and learn from them. They'll give that person a chance. Luntz gives a playbook for how this could happen. Begin quote. First, beating Mr. Trump requires humility. It starts by recognizing that you can't win every voter. You can't win even half of them. But roughly a third of Trump voters prioritize the character of the country and the people who run it. And that's enough to change the 2024 outcome. It's about offering Republicans the contrast they seek. A candidate who champions Mr. Trump's agenda, but with decency, civility, and a commitment to personal responsibility and accountability. Second, Mr. Trump has become his own version of the much-hated political establishment. Mar-a-Lago has become Grand Central Terminal for politicians, political hacks, lobbyists, and out-of-touch elites who have ignored, forgotten, and betrayed the people they represent. Third, recognize that the average farmer, small business owner, and veteran will hold greater sway with the Trump voter than the famous and powerful. Fourth, compliment Mr. Trump's presidency while you criticize the person. Trump focus groups are incredibly instructive in helping differentiate between the passionate support most Trump voters feel for his efforts and his accomplishments, and the embarrassment and frustration they have with his comments and his behavior. Fifth, make it more about the grandchildren. Millions of Trump voters are old, really old. They love their grandchildren, so speak specifically about their grandkids, and their grandparents will listen as well. Sixth, there's one character trait that unites just about everyone: an aversion to public piety while displaying private dishonesty. In a word, hypocrisy. During the 2016 campaign, Trump condemned Barack Obama repeatedly for his occasional rounds of golf, promising not to travel at taxpayer expense. What was Trump's record? Question. Close to 300 rounds of golf on his own personal courses in just 4 years, costing hardworking taxpayers roughly $150 million in additional security. 7. You won't be elected with Republicans alone. The successful candidate must appeal to independents as well. But Trump alienated independents to such a degree that they abandoned Republicans and joined Democrats. And 8th, you need to penetrate the conservative echo chamber. You need at least one of these on your side. Mark Levin, Dennis Prager, Ben Shapiro, Newt Gingrich, and, of course, Tucker, Hannity, or Lara. In 2016, the campaign was about what Trump could do for you. Today, it's about what is being done to him. If he becomes increasingly unhinged, or if his opponents focus on his tweets, his outbursts, and his destructive personality, a sizable number of Republicans will choose someone else. End quote. Mr. Luntz has established a pretty good path for the Republicans to choose a different nominee. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin employed a number of the itemized suggestions and won a shocking victory in Virginia, a state Biden won by double digits in 2020. So it's been proven that they work. Now it's up to the Republican Party.